All right, I think we'll get started. We're a couple minutes past the top of the hour. Thank you all for joining one webinar in a series of webinars that Avtex is hosting on behalf of our contact center practice. This particular one is titled, What is Contact Center in the Cloud? And we decided to take a bit of a step back on this one, and instead of diving into the weeds and talking about specific technologies, platforms, solutions, or even manufacturers, we decided to, as I said, take a step back and really talk a little bit more in general about how the cloud influences contact center and vice versa. And so this will be one of several webinars, and I'll introduce a couple of the upcoming ones over the next couple of months towards the end of this, at the end of this presentation. You all are welcome to offer up some questions, and I'll make sure to have some time towards the end. You can enter those directly in your GoToWebinar app, and I'll do my best to answer those towards the end. So the agenda for today, we've got about 25 minutes, so we're going to keep this relatively tight. But assuming that some of you are not or have not been exposed to Avtex to date, I'll briefly introduce who we are and what we do. We'll talk a bit about why the cloud is more relevant than ever for our business, and that business being contact centers. We'll dive into some considerations as you all start to vet and qualify certain solutions and providers. We'll talk about some considerations to think about as we head down that path. And then I think also this is a great opportunity to bring up some ideas about how to rethink how we all engage with our customers when we move to the cloud, particularly from a legacy premise contact center solution. It's an incredibly vital time to kind of rethink how we've done things and really take it as an opportunity to further that investment. And then, like I said, we'll talk a little bit about what's next in this particular series. So Avtex, who are we? We've been around for a number of years. From a legacy perspective, we've been around since the early 1970s. Our current iteration is several years old as well. At the end of the day, we're a technology-focused customer experience company. What does that exactly mean? And I think that's kind of defined generally by our vision and mission. Our vision is simply to eliminate poor customer experiences. It's a broad vision, and that's exactly how we want it to be. Our mission is to use our technology know-how to enable our clients to deliver an exceptional experience to their customers. And we work on behalf of our customers every day to do that. A couple of really primary partnerships that we've developed over the years across our organization include Interactive Intelligence on our contact center side and Microsoft for productivity, application development, et cetera. We've got a number of other partners that we work with, some focused on particular practices such as contact center, but Interactive Intelligence and Microsoft are certainly our two primaries. Our technologies and services are broad. Our contact center business is over half of our organization's business from a revenue perspective. We're a company of about 270 individuals. About 100 of those are absolutely dedicated to our contact center business. From a Microsoft perspective, we do significant consulting and implementations on behalf of Dynamics CRM, SharePoint, Office 365, Skype for Business, Azure, .NET development, just to name a few. In addition to those core technologies, we do get involved quite a bit in consulting services, both from a broader customer experience perspective, but also certainly in a targeted product or industry manner as well. So why is the cloud more relevant than ever for contact centers? I think by now we're all well accustomed to interacting with the cloud, whether we know it or not. If you're streaming a movie through Netflix, you're working with the cloud. If you have an iPhone and you take pictures and you have those pictures automatically backed up or uploaded to iCloud, you're working with the cloud. If you purchase items through Amazon, you're working with the cloud. All of that has become fairly ubiquitous at this point. What is relatively new, and by relatively new I mean in the last several years certainly, the concept of moving contact center operations to the cloud has become more and more relevant and interesting to customers. And one of the primary reasons for that is certainly cost. With legacy premise-based contact center solutions that most of us are well accustomed to, there's a significant capital expenditure on the front end of that. With cloud providers, that is minimized and or eliminated in many cases. Upgrade costs largely go away. With premise-based equipment, there's certainly services and oftentimes licensing considerations, wherein for most cloud solutions, those upgrade costs are naturally baked into the solution, and it's seamless. The ROI. A good example of that is in 2015, there was a LinkedIn poll asking the question, what is the estimated service savings on a virtual call center platform to your organization? And by virtual call center platform, they specifically meant cloud. And the results were pretty astounding. As you can see, almost everyone saw some savings, and a significant number, 28%, saw savings of 40% or more. So obviously customers are starting to appreciate the ROI and the cost savings as a benefit for moving to the cloud. In addition, considering the little to no footprint locally, the internal IT and infrastructure staff investments can be minimized as well. Scalability. Scalability is incredibly important and really a primary reason for cloud coverage within contact center. The idea of home agents has become, quite honestly, incredibly important to almost all organizations as they look to streamline brick and mortar. So those types of solutions lend themselves very, very well to agent activity in a remote or home-based environment. From a business continuity perspective, what we're seeing quite often is even with our legacy premise-based customers, they're starting to explore and leverage the cloud for business continuity as they become more and more aware of single points of failure and uptime. A really nice BC solution is to leverage a backup cloud solution, and the investment is minimal to none until you start consuming those services. Improved technologies. The adoption of SIP as a voice protocol, as well as network switching and reduced bandwidth costs, those have just become very compelling reasons for customers to move to the cloud as well. Years ago, that would have been cost ineffective, largely from a bandwidth perspective, and the quality of service over IP or the internet has improved significantly over the last several years. Considerations. So as our customers start to vet and qualify movement to the cloud, whether it's a contact center platform or solution that Avtex advocates for, or others, we often get into discussions with them about considerations that are becoming more and more important to them. A great example of that would be partner support. We're obviously a strong partner of Interactive Intelligence, and we think that's an incredible benefit for our customers. So I think we would always advocate for our customers to vet manufacturers that have a strong channel with partners that have been well respected within that channel for a number of years. Flexibility. A cloud solution shouldn't mean loss of control. And so there are a number of solutions out there, each of which have their pros and cons. But quite honestly, if you get into the mindset of moving to the cloud means I no longer have control over my configuration, over my routing, over my business, it's not a good fit for you. Elasticity, and that really comes down to consumption of services. The cloud in and by itself should be able to become elastic for your needs as your business volume either expands or contracts, but some solutions are better than that at that than others. And so as you look at solutions in terms of moving to the cloud, that elastic component becomes more and more relevant. Security and compliance. I would say a primary discussion that we engage in with customers thinking about moving to the cloud would be concerns over security and compliance, whether that's network security, HIPAA compliance, PCI. There are a number of considerations to talk through. So what's really important is for a solution, depending on your industry and your need, to either have a developed plan for security and compliance, or at a minimum, an established roadmap. Reputation and cultural fit. This one sometimes sounds a little funny to people, but reputation is a little bit more straightforward. But cultural fit we find to be really relevant as well. And so one of the questions I think everyone needs to ask is the solution provider you're considering aligned with your company's overall goals and strategies? I think it's important for providers to share the same traits and values when it comes to customer experience. And those traits could be accountability, innovation, responsiveness, leadership. And that often gets overlooked. Telephony choices. Got choices out there. Whether there's some element of local control, meaning telephony gets terminated to your local premise, and then that gets fed back to the cloud, or a complete remote control model, wherein there's absolutely zero footprint on site, and the cloud provider basically becomes the carrier at that point. So I think it's great to have options there. Not one is always the best fit for every company. Local network and quality of service. A consideration, this is really more of an internal consideration, but that any partner should be able to help you with. Your local network needs to be strong, validated, with quality of service enabled, keeping in mind that voice traffic ultimately is going over the internet. Business continuity. I touched on this on the previous slide in terms of why the cloud is becoming more relevant than ever. But true business continuity as part of the cloud platform becomes a very, very critical consideration as you start making some choices there. Innovation roadmap. A cloud solution shouldn't be contained, within a box. It needs to be continually evolving, maturing, but also providing the appropriate APIs and hooks to really extend it to suit your business needs. So that's an important consideration, particularly in our customer pool, where we've developed a reputation for really developing sophisticated solutions. And so that is one of the primary reasons why we're so tightly anchored to Interactive Intelligence. Rethinking how you engage your customers. Particularly for customers of ours who are considering moving from premise to the cloud, we often use that as a perfect opportunity to engage in conversations regarding redesign or rethought, if nothing else. This is a perfect opportunity to dust off the design that you're currently using, look at opportunities for process improvement, if nothing else, refinement. It's a great opportunity to look at channel offerings. Almost all of our contact center customers, of course, deal with voice traffic and ACD voice routing. More than ever, many of our customers are leveraging other channels for contact center communications, such as email, fax, if you can believe that still, web chat, and SMS. But there are others, and this is a great opportunity to start exploring those. Those could be social interactions that can get channeled into the contact center as sort of a forewarning of potential communication out there. So we look at a movement to the cloud as a great opportunity to start discussing some of those ways to leverage that investment further. Automation. Most of our customers have an established IVR. This is a great opportunity to rethink how valuable that IVR design currently is, and whether that needs to be shaped further for the business moving forward. And in my mind, that's definitely leveraging automation to the extent that we can and should. Integrations. This is a great opportunity as well to look at third-party applications that your contact center agents are interfacing with most regularly. How can we minimize the footprint and create potentially more of an integrated single desktop environment for your agent pool. Consolidation and simplification. Once again, a lot of our contact center customers, and particularly their solutions, have evolved over a number of years. They don't often get the care and feeding that they deserve, and it's a great time to look at how to consolidate a number of things, whether it's business processes, phone numbers, agent pools, skills, and perhaps a great opportunity to simplify overall how you're doing business while continuing to maintain a high level of engagement with your customers. So what's next in the series for Contact Center in the Cloud? First and foremost, next month we're kicking off a webinar called Why is Pure Cloud Different? And as I said, this particular webinar today was a step back in terms of thinking about the cloud in general and not focusing so much on a particular platform or solution. But next month we'll dive deep into Pure Cloud, which is Interactive Intelligence's really trail-blazing cloud solution that was released at the middle of last year. And so this will be a great opportunity for you all or others to become much more intimate with what's happening in that particular ecosystem. The month after that, we look at a webinar that's focusing on strategies surrounding going from prem to cloud. It's obviously more straightforward to take a net new contact center need and develop that within the cloud, but there are certainly a number of considerations to take into account when you're moving from a legacy on-premise deployment into the cloud itself. So that was a relatively brief overview. I want to, at this point, we've got about 10 minutes left. If people do have some questions, I'm happy to explore some of those on this particular webinar. I'm not seeing anything quite yet, but I'll give you another minute if anything pops into your head. I do see one question coming in. Do you partner with companies as an agent to assist with a move to Office 365? We are absolutely an Office 365 provider or procurement. So Avtex can provide a full suite of Microsoft services, including movement to Office 365. That is absolutely a core part of our business. And even to extend that, we've got an entire team dedicated to movement assistance to Office 365. Good question. Second question coming in, is pricing based on usage, users? So for most cloud solutions, it is based upon consumption or usage per user. And we'll dig into this a little bit next month with Pure Cloud, but for Pure Cloud specifically, through Interactive Intelligence, pricing is based on consumption per month per user. So, and there are different levels depending on, true contact center needs or more enterprise voice needs or more from a collaboration perspective. But each of those has its own price point and is based upon consumption per user per month. So if a user logs in as a contact center agent once this month in March, you would get billed in April for one user per month, as an example. And that's fairly common across most cloud providers, but that's certainly how we work. Good question. And then in addition to consumption costs, if you were to use Interactive Intelligence's Pure Cloud Voice as your actual carrier, then there would be some costs, obviously, per minute for those reasons, as well as number porting. But that's not a necessity. You can certainly use your existing telephony and have a bit of local control and have those trunks terminated locally without consuming services from PureCloud. Last question here that I'm seeing is, this is my first webinar with you. Do you make the slides available to download? We absolutely have this webinar recorded, including the slide deck itself. And those will be posted to contactcenter.avtex.com, the same web address that you most likely hit to sign up for this webinar, and those will be posted shortly. Not seeing any other questions now. I'll give folks another minute or two. Well, I appreciate your time today. I'll give you back 6 minutes to your day, but wanted to certainly take an opportunity as we continue this series to talk a little bit at a high level about our approach and certainly some considerations. And please tune in next month for a more targeted discussion surrounding PureCloud and why that is distinctly different than just about any other product in the market. So we look forward to that as well. So thank you all for your time.